Who's ready for TBR Harvest? This girl! Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Leandra the TBR Zero, and I have 3 possible TBR piles across 3 different activity boards for TBR Harvest. You're gonna have to help me out to decide which one I'm actually gonna complete. My plan is to vlog the entire experience with a spinner wheel, so we're just gonna find out which prompts I have to hit when I hit them. I'm not gonna be following them in any order. Even if I have the game board or the haunted house to read, I'm gonna do the spinner because I think it'd be fun and a bit more chaotic as I vlog the experience. If you're new to the channel or new to the concept of TBR Harvest, this is an October readathon happening all month long, basically encouraging people to focus on their TBRs, their goals for 2024, because 2025 is close. It's only a few months away, and I will make sure to have the actual announcement video below if you want to learn more about the readathon, more about the various boards, but I will be going through each one. So maybe you'll stick around, watch, see what my TBR pile is before you go and check out that announcement video. Quick reminders for those of you who are big into reading sprints, I will have every single official harvester linked below. Make sure that you are subscribed to them because they will be hosting sprinting events throughout the month of October. I also want to remind everyone that merch is still available, whether you want to do TBR Harvest merch or TBRathon merch, which really is just for readers, and the proceeds for that ends up going to the American Library Association. I also have bookmarks, and I will make sure to provide a little bit of an image here so you can see how gorgeous they are. I don't have too many left, specifically of the Trick or Treat TBR, so if you really have your eye on that one, I would recommend buying it soon because I don't plan on restocking. And finally, the last update is to remind you all that I have kickoff sprints on Tuesday, October 1st from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. After that, I'll be redirecting everyone over to Fablin's kickoff sprints, so if you're participating in one, both, you might as well be here for the entire day and have a lot of fun with both readathons, both communities, just encouraging each other to read as much as we can. The way this is going to work is I'm going to present you with 3 possible TBRs, one for the Trick or Treat TBR, one for Escape the House, and then finally for Escape the Corn Maze. It's up to you to let me know in the comments which one you think I should actually participate in and have the goal of completing every single book by the end of the month. Starting with my Trick or Treat TBR, there are 20 items that you may try to get throughout the month of October, and the idea of it is to allow for mood readers to pick and choose. Read as you go, see what prompts you end up just accomplishing without even trying, or if you do want to set up a pile of possibilities, this might be something you're more comfortable with compared to actually doing a game board, and you feel like you are obligated to actually do all of those prompts and in that specific order if that's the type of player that you are. The way that I like to see the Trick or Treat TBR is also just a fun way to see, what kind of ideal Halloween night do you want? Would you want to make sure you had popcorn, the VHS tape, a jack-o'-lantern, or are you someone who's like, I need candy, I need music, and I also want a spell book? In this way, you're pretty much building the perfect Halloween night for yourself, or you can be someone who just wants to get everything so that you are not without any type of activities for your Halloween night. For me, because I do want to allow for some chaos throughout the month of October, I've decided to fill out every single prompt. There are 20 in total. I've got a book per prompt. You don't have to do that. You can certainly double up on prompts, triple up on prompts, depending on the type of reader you are and depending on what kind of October you want. For me though, I've decided to really make it go crazy. So if I do the Trick or Treat TBR, I will be attempting to read all 20 of these books, or if I have to provide some type of substitutions, I'm at least accomplishing all 20 prompts. The first item is a hot drink. For me, it would probably be a hot cup of coffee, but for you, it might be hot chocolate, tea, ooh, maybe a nice chai. That sounds lovely. And the way to get that is to read a book with a hot drink on the cover. And the book I've decided is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. I ended up buying this secondhand through Pango Books on a whim, just because I was feeling a bit cozy, and I didn't even realize it was going to be one with the blue sprayed edges. I have very few books on my shelves with sprayed edges, so I'm very excited and I'm really hoping that I like it. I don't know, I just have found that there are certain cozy fantasies that I have enjoyed recently, so I'm really hoping that this one's going to work for me, and it does have a little tiny hot drink on the cover. The next item I'm going to try to get is the theater tickets for a Halloween premiere, and to get that I have to read a 2024 release. Fortunately, I have The Perils of Lady Catherine de Bourg, and it's all thanks to Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading. She ended up gifting this copy to me for my birthday, so thank you so much, Brittany. I know I already thanked you, but really, I'm just over the moon. And also thank you to anyone else who bought me books. A few of them will be on this list because I want to read as many as I can before the year ends, but I'm just over the moon for this one. It is the third book in the Mr. Darcy and Miss Tilney mystery series. It is a Jane Austen reimagining, and I'm so excited to be reading it with Julie from Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. We have a goal of buddy reading this in October, so I'm really hoping that this book fits all three activity boards, no matter which one I end up doing. Switching gears, in order to get the Lantern, I would have to read a TBR backlist, meaning it's a book that was published in 2023 or earlier, and I will be reading The Snow Child for this one. This is actually thanks to my subscribers. It's one of the books that was voted upon for my celebration of hitting 2,000 subscribers. Thank you again, everyone. It's been really lovely to see my channel grow in that way and to see people participating, commenting, and just having as much fun as I am talking about books, reading books, and everything else under the sun. So yes, thank you for those who ended up voting for this one, because it has been on my shelf for years. I've been meaning to read it, and I actually am really excited to read it in October potentially, so that when we're moving into the wintry season, I can probably recommend it to quite a few people if I enjoy it. The fourth item I'm going to try to get is the candy. You can't celebrate Halloween without candy, right? At least that's how my childhood was. I recall exchanging, doing trades with friends after a beautiful haul of candy across the neighborhood, and oh boy, was it a cutthroat business. So I need candy on my Halloween night, and to get this I had to have a title that had a sweet word in it, and this was actually really hard for me. I realized that apparently I don't read books with sweet words, and it's really subjective depending on what you think sweet means to you. So what I decided to do was read The Belle of the Fog. This is by Lev A.C. Rosen, and it's the second book in the Evander Mill series. I really loved Lavender House. I read that earlier this spring and really enjoyed it, and I want to continue, especially because the third book comes out during this month or the next month. I don't remember. It comes out very soon, and I want to be able to read it ASAP. So I have that from Libby, and I'm really excited to return to Evander Mills, return to this historical mystery noir, especially because there's great queer representation in it. And in case you're wondering, the sweet word is Belle. I don't know. Belle, beautiful, Beauty and the Beast. We're just going with it. Not only do I want a Halloween premiere, candy, everything else, I also want a mask in case I go to a masquerade ball. You never know, the invite could be in the mail as we speak. But to get the mask, I have to read a mysterious read. And for this one, it could be as straightforward as a mystery book, the mystery genre, or maybe there's a mystery in the pages, something strange is happening, a missing person, or maybe it's mysterious to you because you aren't a fan of the genre, you don't know much about it, you don't know much about its tropes, so you'll be entering it as a bit of an investigator, getting to know the genre, something to that effect. But for me, mysterious read is going to be Night Film. This one I've heard so many good things about, and it's been recommended to me a couple times. Danni Dabbles recommended it to me because she really enjoyed it. And the reason why it's mysterious is because, one, it's mixed media. As you can see, it goes full ham on that, and I'm really excited to see if I end up enjoying that element. It's also deemed a horror mystery in some circles, so I really love the idea of that kind of genre blend, that combination of genres, the two that I really love the most. So we'll see how it goes. I'm very excited and kind of nervous. Next, I'm gonna try to get the Garlic, and in order to have Garlic, I have to read a story that has vampires in it, and I was very fortunate, again, thanks to my subscribers, that I have to read Warlock Holmes. This was another pick by the subscribers who voted upon this, so thank you so much. It's also been on my shelf for years. I also think that it might have been in my self-destruct TBR for 2024, so I really don't have much time to read it before I have to chuck it. So thank you all so much, because I really do want to read this. I think I challenged myself by putting it on that list, and now I'm terrified that I actually would have to unhaul it if I don't read it. So it's now or never. This one I know has a vampire, or at least one vampire, as one of the detectives. Not Warlock Holmes, but as far as Scotland Yard, I think one of the people he works with in Scotland Yard is a vampire. I did look that up, so Yep, it's gonna count. From vampires to gnomes, if I want to get the garden gnome, I then have to read a cozy book. And this one, I had so many options, but I decided to go a little bit off the beaten path, go to my Neck Alley arcs and see what's coming out soon. And Much Ado About Margaret was one that was sent to me by the publisher. I decided to take a chance on it, and I actually think it might have been the right decision for me because I've been reading Arabella by Georgette Heyer, and that's a historical romance, and I am flabbergasted by how much I'm enjoying that. So maybe historical romance is for me. I don't know, we're gonna find out. But Much Ado About Margaret does seem to be kind of humorous, satirical, definitely historical romance, and we'll see if I end up enjoying it. I feel like it's gonna be a cozy time, so it feels fitting that we're gonna get the garden gnome for this book. And what kind of Halloween night would we have without a black cat? So of course I'm gonna try to get the black cat, and for that I had to get a book with a cat on the cover, and fortunately for me, I have Cat Plus Gamer Volume 5. Let me just lean in a little bit so you can appreciate that there's not one, but there are 2 cats, a calico, and a tuxedo kitty. I absolutely adore this manga series so much, and I am so grateful to Vanessa from Read with Dr. B. She ended up sending this as well as Bookshops and Bone Dust to me for my birthday. So thank you so much. I cannot wait. I feel as though I might not be able to get to Bookshops and Bone Dusts this month, but I am 100% determined to continue the Cat Gamer series, and so thank you so much, Vanessa, again. I'm so excited for them. The next item I'm going to try to get is the Jack-o'-lantern, and this one ended up being far harder than I thought. You had to have a pumpkin on the cover, and I was thinking, I'm done for. I do not have a book that has a pumpkin on the cover. And then I remembered what I'll be reading for Only Murders in the Book Club. This is one of my book clubs that I host at the Manor, my Patreon, and my patrons, my guests, ended up voting for this one, Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop. And you know what you can see right here in silhouette? A pumpkin. Ooh, also there's a couple jack-o'-lanterns on the back, so this is really perfect. I see a dog, but I don't see a cat. Not that it matters, but I really hope that there's a cat at the bookshop. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be a cozy mystery, and it just seems really perfect for October. I'm really looking forward to talking about it with my guests at the Manor, and hopefully we enjoy it. I ended up getting an ARC, which I'm really lucky to have, but I know that the audio, I think it's also available on Hoopla, so I might go that route. We'll see. Another item I absolutely need for my Halloween night is the candy apple. I'm not really a candy apple fan, but you know what? I'm a completionist, so I am going to try to get it. And in order to get those candy apples, I have to read a book with a romantic subplot. So I'll be reading Darcy Wilde's The Secret of the Lady's Maid. This is a part of a historical mystery series. I started it last year and I really enjoy it. And you know, I have another thank you. Thank you so much to Jess from This Kiwi for sending me this, as well as a man and his cat. Oh my gosh, this one I don't think is on my Trick or Treat TBR list. I don't think I was able to squeeze it in, but we know I'm going to be reading it, so just stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you so much, Jess. Jess is also someone who's hosting her own readathon in October. She's doing Scarathon. It is a brilliant bingo board, and it's so complex while also being really accessible. There are activities you can do while also reading, so just participate in it. It's going to be so fun. I'm really looking forward to that as well. So yeah, thank you so much, Jess. I really do appreciate it. Probably the item I am the most excited to get is the bat, aka the vampire in bat form. And in order to read this, you have to read a book. What did I say? You have to read a book that is supernatural. And the reason why I'm so excited is because I just read Grave Expectations by Alice Bell. I had a vlog in which I featured it for my fantasy mystery genre blends, and it currently is the best book of the year for me. I had so much fun with it. I really enjoyed it, and I'm so excited for book 2. When I was reading it, I had no idea that in September, the month I was reading this book, the sequel came out, Displeasure Island, and my plan after recording this is actually to head off to the bookstore to buy it, because I am so excited for it. So this one is a supernatural book because not only is it a mystery, but one of the Scooby Gang ragtag characters is a ghost, and a lot of times the mystery makes our characters interact with other ghosts on the premises. So the fact that they're going to Displeasure Island, it's giving me, and then there were nun vibes, an isolated setting, there's probably been some tragedies, and our main characters are going to have to arrive there and probably solve a murder. Who knows? The covers are also just so fun. Some of my favorite covers are part of this series. To get the slice of pumpkin pie, I do wonder if I'm stretching the prompt a bit because I'm not fully sure that this book fits it. I'm just hoping that it does. So I have to read a book that includes found family, and I'm assuming that it's going to be a theme in service model, because our main character Charles, aka the robot, he is going on a bit of an adventure. I have started this book actually. I'm only 50 pages in, but life got hectic and I'm currently trying to finish my TBR for September. This book wasn't on there. That's my fault. So I'm really hoping to get back to it in October. But the main character is a robot, and he realizes one day that he no longer has a purpose when his programming goes haywire for some reason. That's a mystery. And he kills his master. So now he's just going off into the world trying to figure out what he needs to do next. And I imagine he's going to find a bit of a family, maybe other robots or just something. I'm just hoping he finds a friend, okay? Now that I think about it, I have another book that's going to be a bit of a stretch. So to get the autumn leaves, you had to read a book that is set in autumn, and my hope is that The Secret Place by Tana French is set during autumn. I know it's at a boarding school. There is a death that occurs, and this is part of the Dublin Murder Squad. I believe it's number 6. The reason why I'm reading it is for the She Done It book club. I am a production assistant for that podcast, and every single month our book club has a book to read, and this one is for November, but I have to read it a month early for research purposes. I'm also pretty excited because that means it's going to be my 3rd Tana French this year, and one of my goals was to read that author more, to try her. So I'm actually really surprised that I'm reading more of her. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be set in autumn. I'm hoping it's going to be set in autumn. If anyone has seen Hocus Pocus, which should be everyone, you know that salt is absolutely necessary on Halloween night. And in order to get that, I need to read a book with a grumpy character. And the book I think has a grumpy character is The Paradox Hotel. This is another book I've started, but just haven't gotten to because chaos with the TBR, but I really love the main character so far, and she is definitely grumpy. She's definitely salty around the edges, but I really like it. On top of her AI companion, he's a bit salty too. The next item I have on this list is the VHS tape, and for that it has to be a reread. I have not chosen my book yet. I've decided that that one is going to be more of a mood read, so when I get to that prompt, I will decide what book I actually want to reread, because there's a handful of ones I might want to. Do I want to go back to my spooky roots, you know, return to a scary book that I read earlier this year that I loved, or do I want to go even further and read one that I haven't read in like 5+ years? So I'm going to leave that open and figure out what I'm going to read when I get that prompt. Whether I'm watching a movie at home with my VHS tape or using those tickets to go to a Halloween premiere, I definitely need popcorn. And to get that popcorn, I have to read a book, and I can't remember what the prompt is. I have to read a book to film adaptation, and the book I've chosen for that is The Princess Bride. This is another book that my subscribers voted upon. Oh my gosh, so many people said they want me to read this book because I haven't yet. I've seen the movie a long time ago, but I haven't actually read the book, and I have a really lovely edition of it, so I am looking forward to it, and I think it'll be a really lovely, cozy, kind of fairy tale storybook setting with like a lot of humor involved, if I'm remembering the movie correctly. Only 3 items left on this list, and one of them is the spider web. In order to get spider webs, even though I don't know if I really want spider webs, I have to read a veteran or repeat author. For that, my own interpretation of it is that I have to read an author that I have read from before, and that author is going to be Delilah S. Dawson. She's coming out with a new book in the next couple weeks. It's called It Will Only Hurt for a Moment, and I absolutely loved her book Bloom. I read that last year. It was one of the last books I read last December, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. It was so fun, and so I'm really hoping to like another spooky book by this author. So perfect timing. Neck Alley came in, got me the ARC when I really needed it, and so I decided to include it for this spider web item. I also really want to get the record player, and in order to get that, I have to read a book with a historical setting, which is very easy for me. It would be a hard prompt for others if they don't like historical settings. I am a huge historical mystery fan, so I decided to go with Murder in Highbury. What's hilarious is this is the second book that is a Jane Austen murder mystery reimagining. It follows Emma Knightley. She discovers a body. She's got to become a sleuth, and I'm really looking forward to it. It comes out October 22nd, I believe, or early November, and I will let you know what I think and if you should read this as well. And finally, for this trick or treat TBR, I have to get the bushel of apples. How am I supposed to have candy apples without having apples first? And to get that, I have to read a book that is a fairy tale retelling, and this one was actually so hard. I've read a handful of fairy tale retellings before, but I realized I didn't have anything on my docket when it came to Neck Alley, Libby, Hoopla, purchased books. I was just like, where is it? And then finally, I did take a double look at my purchased books and found The Cursed Rose by Leslie Vedder. This is the third book in the Bone Spindle trilogy. It's a fairy tale retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, I believe, / Snow White. I think it kind of blends those together. And it's also a gender flip, also queer. I need to finish the series. I have literally had this on my purchase shelf since February. So this is the time. Totally forgot the spell book. I'll be reading The Hexologists because I think that book's going to give me witchy vibes. Okay, now I have all 20 books. Thanks, friends! Oh my gosh, okay, so those are the 20 books that I'm going to try to read for Trick or Treat TBR if that's the worksheet I decide to go with. Now it's time to move on to the haunted house. And for this one, I wanted to provide as close of an equivalent to the number of books I would have to read for my Trick or Treat TBR as possible. So my plan is to actually start at the front door. I am going to go up to the attic, collect my Scooby gang, and then make my way back through the house in a different route to try to cover every single room, and I think I was able to do that. Upon entering the front door, I could turn right into the kitchen or turn left into the living room, and I decided to enter the living room first, meaning that I have to read a book where I enter blindly. So I have to read a book in which I know very little about it, but I'm excited to try it, and for that I've decided to do My Darling Dreadful Thing. I've certainly heard snippets about this book from friends who've read it, specifically Danni, and she absolutely is over the moon about this book. She just wants to read everything by this author now, and I'm really excited because the author is also Dutch, and I have a lot of interest in Dutch language, Dutch culture. I have lived previously in the Netherlands and Belgium, so I'm really excited to be able to support a Dutch author in this way. So yeah, that's going to be my book in which I enter blindly. And then as I go through the living room, I realize it's a dead end and the only place I can go is into the fireplace. So yes, I climb into the fireplace, and there you have to do a series read. So this could be a first book in the series, a last book in the series, 15th, 3rd, 6th, it doesn't really matter. And so for that, I'm going to be reading The Secret Place by Tana French. You've already heard this title. Yes, I'm trying to repeat as much as possible to provide some type of consistency. And I do have to read that book for my job, so there's no way that I couldn't feature it on every single list if I could. The reason why it fits is because it is the 6th book, I think, in the Dublin Murder Squad. After putting out the fire in the fireplace, crawling into that space, I then realized I have to start climbing up the chimney. So to do that, I have to read a hyped book. And the hyped book I'm reading is actually a book I bought this year, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is going to be my first ever attempt with Brandon Sanderson. I'm really hoping I like it. What's kind of funny is I know that this is a bit of a reimagining of The Princess Bride. So the fact that I also plan on reading The Princess Bride this month, it feels like it's meant to be. I'm not sure if I have Princess Bride on this haunted house list because I actually can't remember if I added it, but if I don't, I'll probably add it as a bonus because I have to read it because the subscribers chose it anyway, and it'd be really interesting to kind of compare the two and see if I fully understand the transition that Brandon Sanderson provided to the main character. We have reached the attic, and now all I have to do is gather my friends, have a bit of a pep talk, get the morale up, and then help everyone descend down into the house and hopefully reach freedom by the end of the month. In order to do that, though, I have to fulfill the Scoobies Unite prompt, which is to read a book that fulfills a prompt for a different readathon happening right now. There are so many readathons or reading challenges that you could be participating in right now. It is actually insane. Obviously, I'm partnering up with Fabelin, so if you're doing both, that makes it super easy, but there are also so many other creators out there who have created bingo boards, reading challenges, and actually I'm doing my best to highlight as many as I can, and one I haven't mentioned yet is actually Wicked Reading. She created a horror bingo board that is meant to be designed for the entire year. So if you want to be reading horror all year, starting in 2024, all the way through 2025, then this is the horror bingo for you. And with that said, I've decided to try to accomplish my first square on the bingo board, which is going to be the upper left-hand corner, and that one is to read a book published in 2024. For that prompt, I am reading The Eyes Are the Best Part, and I cannot wait. This is going to be so spooky, so creepy, and I've heard so many good things about it. I know there's going to be great social commentary within its pages too, and I just got the ebook a couple days ago through Libby, so it's perfect timing. Once I've calmed my friends down, maybe patched up some wounds, done my pep talk, we are finally ready to leave the attic, and so we descend first into the bathroom. We end up interrupting a ghost taking a bath. Super embarrassing, awkward, sorry ghost. But that means we have another prompt, and the prompt is I see dead things. This is super vague, and it's meant to be. So it could be the fact that there are zombies, ghosts, maybe there's a dead body. Interpret it however you want to, as long as there's some type of death being acknowledged, then you're fine. For me, I'm taking it the dead body route, and service model is going to work for it, because as I said, he ended up killing his master, not intentionally, but something happened and he has to figure out if it was a malfunction or if something more sinister went on, while also, again, trying to find his new purpose in this world in which he doesn't have a master anymore. From the bathroom, we then pass into the library, and here we have entered Fablin, meaning that we have to read a biblio story. So we have to read a book with a narrative that features bookish themes. Maybe we have a manuscript go missing. Maybe it's set at a bookshop. The main character is a character within a book, or it could be an author. Really, there are so many options out there across various genres that I feel like this is pretty open-ended. For me, I'm going to be filling this prompt with my Only Murders in the Book Club choice, Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop. Perfect. There's clearly a bookshop, and it's perfect for the season. The next room we have to clear is the bedroom, and this one probably is the hardest prompt in the haunted house, just because it's a bit out of our comfort zone, and it's a theme that we may not fully know is in the book before we read it. This prompt is superstition, so it can involve luck, wishes, charms, superstitious communities. So folklore a lot of times have superstitious lessons and the communities follow it to a T. I actually just read The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley, and I argue that that would definitely fit for the bedroom prompt. But the one I'm choosing for this is Murder Takes the Stage, because the theater is a community of superstition. When they say break a leg, for instance, I really kind of like the idea of reading more books that follow the theater setting, especially mysteries, because it's such a rich setting and there are so many people pretending, acting in a different way, and it lends itself to red herrings, clues, and murder. We've reached our first staircase, and this one's a mood read. For now, I'm tentatively saying The Perils of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, but I might not do that because we'll see what my mood actually decides upon. But for now, I'm really in the mood to continue the series. The second floor of this haunted house includes a home theater, very flashy. And for this, you have to read a book that's either book to film or has movie related themes in it. And for that, I am also attempting to read Night Film. Can you tell that I really, really want to read this in October? Because I am trying to make this work for every single board. It follows a director who's a bit underground, has a bit of a cult following, and like I said, this is definitely a mixture of horror and mystery, so I think it's going to be very spooky. I only have 2 more rooms and a staircase to get through. The first room is going to be the seance room. For this, you have to read a supernatural read, and I will be putting in the Paradox Hotel for this because the main character, yes, she's grumpy. If you remember, I was going to get this book for Salt if I do Trick or Treat TBR, but she also seems to be able to see ghosts, which is very interesting. So while it's a sci-fi mystery, it also has paranormal elements, which is just kind of crazy. For the second staircase, we have to get through it as quickly as possible because apparently the stairs have claws, and so you've got to slide down the banister, and to do that you have to read a book that is under 300 pages, and I was looking through this book and I saw that it has 282. So Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I'm told that historical fantasy probably has some type of romantic subplot in there. It might be a romance, I don't really know, but I've been recommended this book, especially because I loved Small Miracles that I read earlier this year. So yeah, I just needed an excuse to read this. And finally, we've reached the kitchen and I have to read a book with food on the cover. So I'm going with Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, because again, there is that cup of tea and yeah, I'm gonna count it. So woohoo! With that, I have hit every single room in the haunted house. The only prompt I haven't accomplished is the chimney upon the descent, because I ended up doing 2 different prompts, one for if you were going down the chimney and one for if you were going up the chimney, so I didn't have to go down. So that's the only prompt I wouldn't be accomplishing for this haunted house. Finally, the 3rd activity sheet that I may be doing in October is Escape the Corn Maze. This one is definitely super popular, and I'm so grateful for that. I was kind of nervous. I wasn't really sure what I was doing as far as how to reinvent the wheel, because the game board for TBRathon, which was to be rolled, was super fun. Everyone really enjoyed it, and I was thinking, I can't do the same thing. I have to make it a little bit different. And so I included collecting all of the cats, and everyone is obsessed with that concept, and I am over the moon about it. Naturally, I'm also going to be trying to collect all of the cats. So I did all my rolls, and I'll be revealing to you what I got and how I'm going to be fulfilling them. Let's tune in to past Leandra as she sets up her game board and then proceeds to do her first roll. On this special occasion, I decided to buy a brand new set of dice, mainly because I realized I didn't own any. So I realized online that you could buy this mystery dice pack where you have no idea what the design is, and I suppose the idea is that you can collect all of the different sets, you know, taking a bit of a risk, and lo and behold, the design that I got on my dice is actually perfect for TBR Harvest for spooky season, because it looks like there's blood splatter all over them, and I just found that so funny that it looked like my dice ended up being in their own slasher film before they were sent to me. So that ended up being perfect, but of course now I had to decide which die to actually use, because, you know, I could take the risk, do something as small as a 4-sided or 6-sided, or I could be really kind to myself and do like a 20-sided die. So I was looking at each one, trying to figure out what would be perfect, and then I decided, well, actually, maybe the 8-sided die is the Goldilocks of the bunch, just right. And so I'll be rolling with the 8-sided die. There's my first roll. I ended up rolling a 4, and I could have gone up and left to, oh, I'm showcasing the duck that I'm using. Super cute. I could have gone up, but I want to collect all the cats, so I decided to go straight forward, and I ended up landing on Paranormal Read. So I've got to do Paranormal Read, but also if I want that cat, I have to read a book with a mostly black cover. That was my first roll. Not bad at all. That first roll is one that I've seen a lot of people land on, and it's actually really perfect if you're also trying to collect cats. So I ended up landing on Paranormal Read, and because I also want to get the cat, I also have to read a book that has a mostly black cover. I know I ended up saying that you can combine prompts if you want to do that. For me, because I already have so many books I have to read, I have decided to not combine prompts. So I'm simply adding 5 additional prompts for the cat with whatever else I have to read. That means that my Paranormal Read and my Mostly Black Cover have to be 2 different books. For Mostly Black Cover, I've decided to go with Night Film. I know it's super shiny, but behind the words, it's like all dark, and I would argue this counts. Plus the back is like pretty much just black. For Paranormal Read, we've already seen this book a number of times, The Paradox Hotel. It has ghosts, or at least our main character can see ghosts. Let's see what my second roll was. All right, it's time for us to see where our duck is going next. I rolled a 7. That's a pretty big roll. And so I'm making my way all the way around the board past the C, A, and T in the title, and I landed on cat in the book. My second roll ended up literally landing on a cat, and I was so surprised. I know that that's possible, but I've just expected so much chaos that I was like, of course I'm not going to actually land on a cat. I'm just going to have to add additional prompts. With that said, the additional prompt that I passed was the C, A, and T in the title. So I have to read a book for that, as well as cat on the cover. For C, A, and T in the title, I did go with The Perils of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, because literally Catherine has C-A-T, and I love the fact that I have it in a person's name. And then for cat on the cover, I certainly could have gone with Cat Plus Gamer Volume 5, but instead I decided to highlight A Man and His Cat because I really do want to read it. Look how many cats there are. TBR. He's adorable. This is a cat manga that has been recommended to me so many times, and I finally have volume 1. So yeah, again, thank you so much, Jess. I cannot wait to read it. On to roll number 3. Now for this third roll, my goal was to get to cat on the cover because that's the angle I'm going for, but unfortunately I got a 3, which is a very small roll, so I only went 3 spaces and landed on autumnal cover. So I ended up getting autumnal cover, but because I cut through the corn maze, I did have to read a book that features green and yellow on the cover as well. So of course, I first was like, oh, perfect! Chaos at the Lazy Bones bookshop. This is autumnal, great. And then I was like, wait, this is the most orange-black book that I have ever seen in my life. There is no other colors at all. So while I do have to read this no matter what, it's not going to count for that prompt. So what I've decided to do is can't spell treason without T, because it just feels very cozy and autumnal. The fact that there is a fire, that they're cozying up and drinking tea, and there is green and yellow on the cover in little bits. I really don't have many books with autumnal covers, I realized, and I do need to change that. All right, we're not at the end of the board yet, so let's keep rolling and try to collect those cats. After getting that 3, I was really hoping for a big number, and I got it. I ended up getting an 8, which got me nearly to the end of the board, and I landed on another cat. So I have to get cat on the cover, and then I also have to collect witchy vibes to get my 5th and final cat. Because I was so close to the end, I just decided to roll again really quickly, hoping to not get a 1 or a 2. I needed a 3 or higher. I rolled, got a 5, meaning I reached the pumpkin patch. Again, I'm landing on these cats. I don't understand what's going on. I think it's just meant to be. I am meant to collect these cats and have a very calm, relaxing time if I do end up doing this game board. So I ended up landing on Witchy Vibes, which collected the 5th cat, and because I passed the 4th cat, which is cat on the cover, I have to find 2 books that fit that. For Witchy Vibes, I went with Warlock Holmes. Duh, we've got Warlock in the title, and I'm sure there are witches. There's gotta be witches in this book. And then we actually did get cat on the cover. I had misspoken before, but the cat on the cover is gonna be Cat Plus Gamer. So even though I switched it up and did a man and his cat, well, we're gonna read both cat mangas. It's gonna happen. Obviously with the game board, Escape the Corn Maze, I didn't have nearly as many books that I had to read for that one. So I will have to add books for priority reading. For instance, Secret Place, that one didn't make it, and there are a couple other priority reads like The Princess Bride for my subscribers, The Snow Child. So even though you didn't see very many books, I will be filling that spinner wheel if I do the game board, because there are books I have to read, and even though the game board didn't say I had to, Leandra is saying I have to. All right, well, those are my 3 tentative activity sheets, my 3 tentative pile of possibilities for my TBR. Let me know in the comments which game board / activity sheet you actually think I should accomplish. Should I do the dreaded 20 books of Trick or Treat TBR? Should I try to get through the entire haunted house? Or should I try to collect the cats and get through that corn maze? Thank you so much for getting to the end of this TBR game video, and if you're interested and you haven't joined the TBR Harvest yet, I will have the announcement video linked below. I also want to thank my manor guests, my sleuths, my witnesses, my suspects, and my corpses. You are also lovely for supporting me in just an additional way, and I can't thank you enough. And finally, if you are looking for more spooky reads or just kind of a cozy vlog that I'm very, very proud of, then maybe check out my recent cozy camp horror vlog to get you into the Halloween season. Thanks everyone. I hope you have a great one. Bye!